Here I am. And it feels so good to be back in this chair with all of you. It is Feral Monday, but listen, we're actually gonna get more feral today with our base. We're gonna do some underpainting, but we're still gonna do a quick eye look. But it's gonna be pretty soft, but we're gonna go feral with the underpainting, and we'll talk about contour, shaping, bronzer. But this is pretty, and this is where I want to go today. Isn't this pretty? It's from P. Louise. That's cool. It's just huge. Okay, I'm excited. Let's get started. Before we get started, I don't know if y'all saw, most of you did, but this is a really big accomplishment for me. And that is Adele. That is the C41. And the artist that did this is Anthony Wynn, and he is amazing. But this is a really big accomplishment for me. This is really amazing. And I had to show y'all again. And then there was another one. And then my friend Leah Darcy snuck in the C42 in this TikTok that Hailey Bieber did. It's been a wild ride. It's been so wild. And you know how I found out about all of this? I found out because of you. You all recognized these brushes, and you all got just as excited as I did. And the fact that you took time to show me, I'll get emotional. I don't want to get emotional because I want to get into the makeup. But I love you all so much, and this is a fun ride. And I am honored to be on this ride with all of you. All right, let's go. Let's get into our makeup. I love y'all. So we're using our clean canvas in Fair today. And really quickly, you might have heard me say this, but if not, because we have quite a few new supporters here. And the lighter the base, the truer the color. This color right here is pretty neutral, and what that's doing, it's canceling out my undertone, and it's also just covering up everything on my eye. So what is in this pan right here, I don't know where I'm going, I'm thinking apricot. But this color right here is going to show up as true as it is here on my lid. And if I was to use a white base, it would be its truest form. And no matter your skin tone, skin color, even think deep, it's going to be completely covered. The eyeshadow covers that base, so it's not peeking through. Eyeshadow base doesn't need to match like foundation and concealer. Now, this mighty large palette situation here. This one's from P. Louise. I'm gonna go find the link for you. I'm actually gonna start with this shade, 3 taps in. That's how much product that I picked up. And the reason why I picked up a little bit more than usual is because I'm gonna go ahead and lay this down all throughout my crease. Now, believe it or not, that space still isn't set enough. So we need to go back in 1, 2, 3, and we'll take it over this way and then finish over this way. And now that area should be nice and set, no creasing, and you'll see how smooth it looks now. Nice. So now we're gonna grab this shade, just 2 taps of that, and then I finished this top part. That's so smoothing and pretty, so soft. I feel like possibilities are absolutely endless with this palette, and we will be using one of the shimmers. I don't know which one, but y'all know I'm gonna use one of those shimmers. Get that shimmer on my face. Good times. I've missed y'all. I've missed sitting here and just playing makeup. That looks pretty. Let's add a little bit of definition. Let's grab this shade. Notice I'm gonna grab this on the tip of the brush, and I only did 2 little taps because I just want a little bit of definition, and I'm just gonna push it here. I might build that up, we'll see. That's fun. 1, 2, same thing over here. Now, I'm just going to smooth out any creases. We can carve a little bit. Oh, I bet y'all missed those snores and the weird goblin noises that He's bathing. I can't stop him. Y'all are just gonna have to put up with the noises today. I've missed him so much. Surprised Dougie's not snoring too. So when we thought about names and shapes for brushes, obviously you look at this and you think concealer brush, precision concealer brush. Ooh, it is very precise. But because I'm here almost every single day, I teach you new ways to use the brushes. And one of the ways, most of you have probably seen me use this brush this way, but one of my favorite ways to use it is actually with shimmer eyeshadows. Now, get ready for this. I think I'm gonna use this more champagne. Now these bristles, they pick up shimmers. Do you see that? It just grabs that shimmer. And now that combined with a tacky base, and you get your fingertip, but more precise. We haven't even dipped back in yet. Now I picked up a little bit more, and by a little bit I mean a lot. Let's make this inner part really pop. But I do want you to notice that I'm kind of laying the brush and then dragging it. So we're laying it and pressing it into the base, and then we drag it across. And it really smooths out the shimmer, smooths out the base, and it just makes sure that it's very even and reflective. That's pretty. Now, if you really want to kind of clean up, you can with the brush and the shimmer. It's another reason I love this brush. As you can see, it's sharp enough to carve with eyeshadow. I love a spicy sharp brush around these parts. Let me layer up in the inner corner. Remember to really press and smooth it though. Now let's grab this little micro liner situation. Now notice I'm only doing one eye at a time. And the reason why is because this is going to set. We don't want it to set. Not yet, we're not there. We do need an E27. And we're gonna grab one of the dark browns in here. I will say this is a very hard palette to showcase. Let's see which one we're gonna grab. Let's grab this one. It's a little bit warmer. Can you see that? This actually has a little bit more red, and this has a little bit more purple. This one's a little bit cooler. We want a little bit more warmth. So we're gonna grab that on the center of the brush, and before this sets, let's just start to tap this and smoke this out. Oh, heavy breathing. Let's add a lash here. These are my second favorite style from Rochelle Beauty. These are the style Full Moon. Ah, it's so spicy. So we're gonna go a little bit heavier with the underpainting. And the first artist that comes to mind when I think of the heavier underpainting is Scott Barnes. So we're gonna tag Scott Barnes here, and we love you, Scott Barnes. So we need to talk about skin prep, because this is about to be a lot of makeup, and I already have my skincare on, and I just don't feel like my skincare is going to be enough, because this kind of makeup, it needs something to grip onto, and it just needs that kind of barrier between your skin and what's going on there. Let's do it. So when you're using these, I know this is a lot of talking and not a lot of showing, but I need to chat for a second. When you're using these kind of creams, when I say these, you'll see any kind of heavy layers, they want to dry. Anything contour, anything bronzer in a stick form, it tends to want to dry quickly. So we're gonna be using an oil. Now we're only gonna do 2 drops. It's not like we need this whole bottle. You only need 1, 2. But this is just gonna help our products move so much easier. I feel like what happened for me when I first wanted to start this is I didn't understand the formulas, the product formulas, how they dried, how they moved on the face. So once I figured them out, I was unstoppable. I want you all to understand the formulas. This brush right here is the Anissa Beauty All Over Care brush. And if you're wondering why I'm using a brush, I just feel like it just evenly distributes so nicely. I've been using these for years. I love these. Now, even if you're oily, an oil like this that will dry down is still gonna be so wonderful. What you can do is just kind of avoid the direct center of the face. But for underpainting, we need this. This is gonna help everything blend. It's gonna help it move. It's gonna help it melt together. So let's try these out. These are from Milk Makeup, and we're gonna start with the bronzer. Let me tell you, what happens is a lot of times brands call bronzers contours. That is quite the opposite. I'm gonna show you really quickly. This is going to be a contour shade for me. So contour is usually just cooler. But that being said, oh yeah, you can see that difference. See how this one's a lot cooler? That's gonna be my contour shade. This is gonna be my bronzer shade. Very quickly, you can still shape with bronzer. The only place that I really feel like we need a little bit cooler tone would be to contour around the nose. It's just gonna look more like a shadow. And I have so many videos on that, and if you have time, just scroll my reels later and look for those. So we're gonna start with bronzer. We're gonna start to warm up the complexion. This is also a really good technique if you find your foundation to be too light. Doing this underneath foundation is wonderful. It'll just kind of bring it back to the color we need it to be. I'm not gonna do this around my nose because we'll do just a smidgy of contour. And I also want you to know this, what we're doing here is still not going to be considered, well, what I consider stage makeup. This would still be something that I could wear in the complete daylight and still kind of look like myself, not me on stage. So we're just gonna grab a C40 and we're gonna start to blend this. This actually isn't as difficult or scary as you might think. Bring it down the neck. Now we're gonna keep blending. I want y'all to see the entire process. We're gonna push this into the hairline. We could go darker with our bronzer shade, but I feel like this is going to be where we need to be. If we need, we can add a little bit more. But you're really gonna see that contrast once we start to add the concealer. I feel like underpainting is really good for shifting foundation shades. It's a really good way to save foundations. It's a really good way to kind of get shape onto the face without just having very harsh lines. I'll think of some more things it's good for. Right now I'm just excited to watch this blend. That's pretty. So I'm using another shade of the bronzer, and the only reason why is because I want to gauge the difference here. We would have been fine with the other one, but I wanted to add a little bit more to the face. And this is the shade Blaze. Kind of just having fun here. Also testing out the depth between these two. I feel like we could have done Blaze to begin with. Let me take this lid off. We're learning and comparing. There you go. I feel like I could have used this one. This one I would use just for a very easy peasy look. Love both. These blend beautifully, especially with that oil. There you go, that's the depth I was wanting. And we get to use the C42. I'm so excited. Now with bronzer, it can go a little bit higher on the cheekbone because that's where the sun naturally would hit us. Now we're gonna go in with a much lighter concealer. You're about to see. Oh, he's making beautiful goblin noises. But what we're doing here is, a lot of times when you see this underpainting technique, you have to remember the client that they're working on and what that client does, and even that client is going to be photographed under beautiful lighting, and there's just so many variables. But the way I'm doing it today is definitely heavier than what you would see on Hailey Bieber, but also not what you would see on, think, J-Lo doing her beautiful red carpets and her music videos and all of the fun things that she does. So we have to just think about the occasion, where we're going, the lighting, and that's what I normally like to do. One of the reasons I love makeup, because it's just so different I was saying it's so different in different settings. It's very fun to me. I like that idea. Now, what we're gonna do here is foundation needs to go on top of all of this. So all of this needs to be as thin as possible. Now a small brush like this, it's gonna get it nice and thin. It's gonna take a second, okay? This is not a let's get out the door. No, because for this to last on the skin, it needs to be so thin and so even. So it does take a little bit more blending than what we might be used to, but it is fun. I also want you to see I'm going to stop that concealer about right there. And I forgot to mention, if we were going to do any kind of correcting, we would have done that before this concealer. So if you needed your peach corrector, or if you needed your orange corrector, if you needed anything to cancel out any redness, we would have done that very first step, but I didn't feel like we needed that today. So I was talking about different levels of underpainting, and I would say this level would be evening, out to dinner, maybe a special event, but still not for stage makeup or say a music video, just very intense lighting that's going to cast different shadows. We would need more. I figured I'd just let this run and let y'all watch this. I'm still not done blending, I'm telling y'all. And I know you might be thinking, Rose, use a bigger brush. That is where the magic can be lost. So we want the smaller brush to kind of keep everything nice and contained. I'm going to take that concealer through here. You can even take it here on the brow bone. We kind of do this with the foundation. Y'all see this a lot. I also don't want to taking it too far over this way could kind of widen the face, and that's not the look I'm going for at the moment. So we'll stop it right where the wing stops. Now, before we do the contouring, because we will do contouring, I'll show you. The contour for me, it's easier to control once we get our foundation on. It's still gonna look very natural because we only use a very small amount of it, but next step is foundation. So put on your makeup seatbelts. I'm gonna scoop some of this out. This is gonna be a new foundation. And this is from Mob Beauty. Ooh, y'all are gonna like this foundation, so pretty. So I'll probably grab more than that, but let me just put that on my hand for a second. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna place it with my finger. So we're gonna tap some here. This is important, how we're placing it. We're gonna take some here, take it around here. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Oh, we need to put some here. I don't know if you know this, but this brush right here, it's now available. This is the Rose & Bim Beauty C42. And you're going to get to see it in action here. Now, we are going to be a little bit more delicate with the blending because we want to kind of smooth over the bronzer and the concealer that we have on. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to just mush all of this together. Ooh, that foundation. So go over these areas first. Now, we're gonna push all this together very lightly. Look at the shape. Ooh, that is nice. Now I'm not going to do the nose because I'm going to do a little bit of contour there in a second, but look at how much more natural that looks now. So much fun. This is the foundation again. We're going to place it that exact same way. I figured you'd want to see this blend out. C42, C42 in. So it's really about just going around these edges first and smoothing, and then going on top. But make sure, I don't know, I know it's repetitive, but please make sure that you're pressing. It's so important, especially when you're doing a technique like this. Just swiping would kind of muddy everything together. So I feel like bronzer is usually enough to kind of warm and shape my nose, but let's talk about some nose contouring. Now, obviously my nose is very thin through here, but I do want to at least give you an idea and some tools on how to contour. So what we see a lot of times is we see people just going in and they take the stick and they take it through here. That's still so much product, no matter how large you think your nose might be. You don't need that much product. It's best to start with very small amounts. So take a small little brush, something angled like the E27 would be fantastic. And I find it's always a little bit easier to kind of notice how I completely relaxed my brows. I'm gonna start like this. Jean, do we still need to take a bath during the lesson here? And this is a really nice shadowy shade, ooh. So we're just gonna keep shading here. We want this to look like a shadow. And this is a really good technique for everyone. I'm gonna grab a little bit more here. Goodness gracious, is this a little elephant on parade or is this Jean Bean? Oh, hang on, he wants out. So I'm still shading here. And I want to mention one of the reasons I don't really talk about nose contour and why I don't teach it is because it's such a personal preference. And what I do want to tell you is that, let me give you some tips. Notice there is zero powder on my face. Notice the very small brush. And also to get this really nice and precise, it is not a quick process. Absolutely not a quick process. But again, it's just such a personal preference. So now I'm taking whatever concealer was left on the C31, and we're gonna start to kind of carve this out a little bit. And then I still need to finish up here. This is just gonna shorten it. Then again, you might not like this. That's why I feel like things that really kind of reshape the face are so personal that I don't, and it's also something that I want you to never feel like you need to wake up every single day and change your features. It's one of the reasons I don't teach it a lot, because I love things that just help us enjoy. Glitter is fun, but when we start reshaping, I don't want you to feel like you weren't perfect before. Reshaping is very fun, but just know that before you reshaped, you were beautiful. After you reshaped your nose or your features, you were beautiful. Just know that you're beautiful. Now, we're gonna grab our C42 again, and we are gonna ever so lightly press all of this back together. Because right now, that's too much of a line for me. I actually don't mind that line there, but it's down the sides of the nose. I need them blended more. But just know to really kind of carve this out, the lines are technically going to be visible. And for me, I don't enjoy visible lines, but once I overblend this too much, I'm gonna lose all of that shape. So there will be lines. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of that contour here. It's a beautiful contour shade that honestly just looks like my natural contour. And over here, this area can hold a lot more product, so it's okay to go in. I think the forehead is fine, maybe a little bit here. Ooh, I'm just shadowing stuff away. Let's see where else. We'll do, of course, this side. Just kind of fall in the natural. And if you really wanted to, do you see, I'm not going to, but do you see all this shadow here? You would just follow that shadow, but yeah. This is a beautiful shade, by the way. I also love that it's called a sculpt stick and not a contour stick, even though that is a true contour. I love that they didn't call the bronzers contour. I love the difference between bronzer and sculpt. Good job, Milk. Now we're gonna use a smaller brush because we don't want to just mix this in. And the reason I like to do this after the bronzer is because that bronzer gives this something to transition into. Think of everything as a transition in makeup. And we're gonna move it around for, I'm not gonna leave it like, but I am going to use a smaller brush to kind of diffuse. And then we'll go back over. This is a beautiful shade. This makes me happy. Y'all did great with this shade. And then back with the C42. Again, we're gonna go around the edges. Soften and then back over. Now it's a secret shot. Now he wants back in. Oh, he's desperate. Ooh, that's nice. Me and red blush, we're really, really good friends. Now remember, there's no powder on my face yet. And I'm telling y'all, underpainting is a process. It's not a let's get out the door situation. It's fun, but it's not beep boop out the door. I'm actually just going to use the C42, and the reason why is because it has that foundation on it, and I just want to kind of work this in together. That's pretty. Then I'll use whatever's left and just kind of go across here where the sun naturally hits. I'm not gonna mess with the nose because we gotta get some powder on that nose to kind of finish shaping it. Nice and melty. Ooh, that contour. So I'm gonna use a powder that's closer to my skin tone because I feel like it's gonna melt everything together. A puff is crucial. It's crucial for the nose contour when it comes to this. It's crucial for setting this much makeup. It just really melts and presses everything in. You gotta set this. When I go shut my door, we're just chatting on the phone in there. So with whatever's left here on our puff, we're just gonna go in sections. Notice how that's blurring everything together even more. I'm gonna pick up a little bit more of that powder. Makeup is so much fun. I enjoy this process. I find it incredibly fun, but I do want y'all to know that I know I keep reiterating, but there's even different levels of underpainting, and it's not quick. But it's fun. Now we are gonna have to bake this situation. Baking the nose contour it's crucial, but you know what? It just takes so much time. You have to be very precise. Because right now how I have it, it's actually just widening through here. But I'm gonna show y'all. I need to go shut my door. I don't know what these conversations are. Hang on now. By the way, using a powder closer to your skin tone is just going to help blur everything together, and it won't be too light. If this was too light, it wouldn't have that beautiful melting blurring effect. So if you're starting out and you want to practice this, definitely use a powder closer to your foundation and closer to your skin tone. Now let's also talk about, I'm having fun. I'm just sitting here playing in makeup, and I'm sorry if this is a long tutorial or if I'm talking too much, but there's a lot to talk about. Tomorrow I will talk less. I hardly ever, no, I never bake underneath here. I feel like a puff and pressing is usually enough, but there are certain areas where I don't have a fine line, say over here. We can bake over here to really add some more lift to the eye. That's gonna be fun. Oh, Mama's sneezing. She can't hear me if I yell bless you anyways. There we go. You can bake here to add, to kind of make this pop out. Even here. And then definitely through the center of the forehead. And if you want to get super spicy, we can bake underneath here to really clean this up. But I don't like to bring it all the way down. I'll kind of stop right there anymore, and it's going to widen my face. It's a really good way to look at it. Perfect. Now I'm going to show you how I dust it off, but let's let it sit 2 or 3 minutes. Let me show you something else really quickly. This is not about complexion. This is about eyes. So I didn't bring that shadow all the way over. And I see that gap right there. See how that's kind of disconnecting? If you just add the tiniest little line here and fill in this lash area, it kind of disguises that lash band. And I've talked about this before, but it's been a while. Do you see this difference? Just that tiny little bit makes such a difference. Oh. So what I like to do instead of dusting this away, I know it's wild, I like to press it in. You get more coverage and a more blurring effect, and it doesn't take it away. We still have that, look at that. I'm sorry, makeup is just so much fun to me, and it's still, I calculated the other day, I've been doing makeup now, and I used to even do clients, but I've been doing makeup almost 20 years, and every single day, sometimes multiple times a day on myself, and I am just not over it. I'm not over how much fun makeup is. I don't think I'll ever be over it. It's something I truly enjoy doing. Tap, 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 tap. Just tap it all in. Y'all see that? C42 even fits in here perfectly. I thought of everything with this brush. Now I'm going to give you one more tip. And remember, if setting spray is working for you, you continue to use your setting spray. But I will say with this many layers, if I was to add any kind of moisture back on top of this, I run the risk of all of this mixing back together, melting, becoming wet again, patchiness, chaos. If you have a setting spray that does not do that to you, you use your setting spray. But for me, I am going to skip it. I normally don't wear it for that reason. Even when I'm wearing smaller amounts of makeup, and please know that I've tried every setting spray that has in setting spray existence, but they just don't work well for me. But I will say with this many powders, this many layers, it might be best to skip it. Now I need a nap after all of this makeup application. So I'm not even gonna worry about underneath here. I have a lot of things I need to catch up on, and I'm just gonna take this off and film some more stuff. This is one of my favorite lipsticks, and it's from Revlon, and it's so affordable. This is Bare Affair. So let's put on our lipstick. I can't get over my contour here. And I still have that glow from underneath. It's nice. Also want to give you one more tip. When you're doing this much, normally it's best to bring it all the way down here. And that's why I don't normally teach these techniques, but they are fun, and it's Feral Monday. It needs to go all the way down. It's a lot. But now you have kind of the idea, and you can go have fun with it. You can do it as little or as much as you want. It's really fun, and it's a really good way to understand formulas. I'm saying underpainting. It's a really good way to understand formulas, textures, dry times. It kind of helps you understand what you already have so much more. And this is ABH lip liner in Mocha. Let me double check that. Yeah. Look at this difference. And it's just a little bit. I am barely overlining, but I find that when you do your lipstick first, you're just able to get a more precise lip line, and it's so much easier, and it blends so much better. lipstick lasts longer. Sorry to scare you. Now, I will definitely save this to my highlights so you can reference it at a later date. This was a lot of information to take in. It's very fun. Makeup is just fun. This isn't a style that I do all the time, and it's not my absolute favorite, but it is part of what was so intriguing about makeup, so I hope that y'all enjoyed it. I am excited. Tomorrow I'm going to recreate Adele's look. I'm excited. Tonight's post is going to be an ad, but y'all are going to be absolutely sick of this. And remember, I couldn't talk about it. So if you're wondering, well, why weren't you talking about it? It's because it wasn't released. I've had it since October. It was a hard secret to keep, but this is the MAC Lash Dry Shampoo. I know it sounds like a gimmick. Y'all know that over here we don't do gimmicks. We just do things that actually add to our makeup routines and make them better. And you're going to love this. You're going to love it. You're absolutely gonna love it. You'll see it tonight, and then I will be posting a wear test using it too, but that will be, I think, next week. And then you'll just see it, and it won't be an ad, and then you'll be like, oh, okay, I see it all the time. But that's how it works here. I'm excited for y'all to try it, but I only say that because that's what I'm posting tonight. I'm sorry, 2 ads back to back, more ads than the Super Bowl, but y'all understand at this point. I love y'all so much, and I'm so excited to post that video. I can't wait to show you because it's educational. That's what we focus on here. I love you, and I'll see you in the comments tonight. MAC Cosmetics has brought